Well, welcome. I think this is the fourth year, I think, Angie, maybe more, that I've done this. So it's always a pleasure, always a lot of fun. I learn a lot, and I love the interaction. So I've got about 6 housekeeping items that I'd just like to cover off to start with. This is a workshop, not a lecture. Workshop means you work. So what I'm going to do is talk for a little while, and then you're going to do some work. And we're going to talk some more, and then you're going to do some more work, and you get the idea. And I think there's about 4 or 5 of those types of situations throughout the evening. So breaks. I get asked about breaks. When we have a work break, feel free to go to the washroom, enjoy the fine cooking in the back of the room and the coffee and everything else, and take advantage of the breaks themselves. Please ask questions as you go. As Angie said, they are recording the session, so in order to get your question in the recording process, please, you need to use the mic in order to get that there. You've got the slides. If you don't, there's a URL that Angie can give you that you can go download the slides from. You may want to use the slides to take some notes tonight if you wish, because I'm going to be referring to a couple of them during the evening.
Yeah, sorry, they're on the website, newventuresbc.com/blog. It should be the first or second post there. You can download them.
Okay. Next housekeeping item, as part of the workshop, some of you folks will be presenting. So as we go, you're going to be doing some work. Some of the work you're going to be doing, I would suggest you want to present. This is a good, friendly situation for you where you can learn a lot and take advantage of it. So I would suggest getting up, going forward in your career. If you want to be an entrepreneur, get good at public speaking, and this is a good opportunity to take advantage of it. Lastly, it's going to take about 2.5 hours, depending on the break durations and stuff like that. So that's the reason why we want to get started at 6:30 so we can be roughly done by 9 o'clock. Okay, a little background. You're going to see a slide on me in a couple of minutes, but basically I was an entrepreneur, startup, and founder of 8 companies over 28 years. The one I'm best known for is one called Class Software, which was in the Parks and Recreation area. Got sold to the Active Network in 2004, but prior to that I'd done 8 startups and sold 5 of them. So I did pretty well over the years. And after 2004, what I ended up doing was doing some give back to the industry, and I started investing. And I started putting some serious money into some companies, and I looked at what was going on with the money, and I'm going, this is just really foolish. This is not very good use of funds at all. So the first one I said was maybe an anomaly. I did it again, and I now have, just to get the number on the table, 21 investments. But the first 4 or 5 or so were just really, really handled poorly on the part of the recipient. And equity cash, as you will find, is a very difficult thing to get and should be wisely used. So I had involved with an organization called ACETEC, which is an excellent organization for CEOs and great support network. And I went to ACETEC, I was on the board, and I went to ACETEC and said, boy, we got to fix this problem. And her name was Kathy Troop. And Kathy and I then founded a program called the Growth Strategy Program, which I ran personally for 2 to 3 years right in the beginning, and then for 5 with some help from others, and backed out after year 5, and it's been going strong for about 7 or 8 years right now. We've had about 250 CEOs through the program, but the genesis of that program was how to be a great CEO in a startup, because you cannot go to school to learn that. I have yet to find Sauder School of Business, or frankly here. I got into trouble here last year when I started talking about this. The MBA programs and the commerce programs don't do a good enough job, in my opinion. And you need guys that have been there, done that before in order to help it out. Okay, my personal opinion. I got in big trouble with that statement last year. So we founded the Growth Strategy Program. It's a program that you learn as you go, and part of what we're going to talk about tonight is the foundation for that program. So there are 3 main questions that we're going to address tonight. The first one is your go-to-market strategy. So this is a really important concept to learn, and essentially it is, how do I clearly describe in a very short period of time, like less than 30 seconds, exactly what I'm going to do? And the last comment is in business-like terms, not techie terms, not feature terms, but business-like terms as well. We are going to spend about 2/3 of our evening tonight on that particular topic. And I'll give you some evidence as to why it's important in just a minute. Secondly, your market opportunity. So you all have some focus in where you want to go as an opportunity. Is it worthwhile? These things take about 5 to 10 years of your life. Once you get started and you want to stay committed to it and see it to the end, it's about, my portfolio right now has an average year of about, an investment cycle of about 8 years. I've got about half of the portfolio done. And the ones that have been done so far, basically the ones that have failed. So the good ones are still in play, and they're in roughly the 8 to 9 year range right now, a lot of them. So this is a long duration commitment, so you want to make sure it's worthwhile. And the last one is an entrepreneur. Are you an entrepreneur? So I've got my vision of life as to what an entrepreneur's characteristics should be, and I'm going to share those with you tonight, and we can have a dialogue about it. And then see if you are a fit. So let me pause. Any questions or thoughts right now? Again, please feel free to ask. Okay. All right. So, whoops. So here is you probably want to help me out here, Angie, a little bit. Let me just... Okay, I think we're good. Sorry, I hit the wrong button, Angie. I'm a Apple guy, not a Windows guy, so this is is screwing me up. Okay, so this is my bio. I'm going to leave you read this, but I am going to talk in parallel with this slide about a little bit of background and about why I think I can help you out tonight. Again, 28 years as CEO. My background basically was an engineer MBA, the traditional approach, if you wish. A couple of engineering degrees, an MBA, good combination, tech and business, and it stood me in good stead. Founded a company in '76, got out of the last one in 2004, as I mentioned before, and did a whole bunch of startups. So I've been there, done that with startups. I love startups. Any company that gets above 75 employees or so it causes me the willies, to be frank with you, because it turns out to be more of an HR operation than anything else, in my opinion. So I generally sell them before that time. And that's basically what I did, except the one called Class ended up being sold at about 145 employees. So I love startups. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I love the risk, I love the variety, I love the challenge, and I love dealing with the customer uncertainty. That's really how I'm built. So it's really a great opportunity that I get to work with a lot of startup companies such as yourselves. So after I sold in 2004, I had a decent amount of money, and I put a lot of money back into the tech industry. And right now I have 21 direct investments and 9 venture capital funds that I'm invested in locally. So I have a total of about 27 portfolio entries. I am probably in the top 5, maybe even higher than that, in terms of when you combine number of opportunities invested in and also dollars. Okay, I got a serious amount of money in there right now. And the last thing is, what do I do now? So the growth strategy program I founded in order to get an upgrade for the industry going. But more recently, I'm involved with boards of directors and mentorship. So I'm involved with 5 boards, 4 of which I'm chairperson of, and also mentoring 3 other companies directly as well. So this gentleman over here on the left-hand side used to work for me at Class Software, and he asked me, what am I doing these days, because we hadn't seen one another in a little while. I said, I'm working about 50 hours a week right now, so I'm not retired. So I guess here's my value proposition to you. I know what it's like to be a founder and a CEO. I know what it's like to be an investor, and I know what it's like to sit on the board. So I probably got the whole ecosystem covered from your point of view. Let's just talk about a couple of the boards that I sit on, the 5 boards, to give you an idea as to what I do. There's an outfit in Victoria called Redland Technologies. They make specialty semiconductor material for the security and medical industry, primarily imaging cameras for CT, MRI scans, that kind of thing. Second one would be Anaveric Software. They have a piece of application software that deals with transactions for marine oil shipments, actually oil and natural gas. That's evolving into a big data play. So we've actually had term sheets from Bloomberg being able to leverage our data for the purposes of predicting price, and hedge funds and the likes are very interested in that kind of a data set. So that's 2. Number 3 is in a company called Reward Stream. They're in Burnaby. They do refer a friend processing, whereby they leverage social networks, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc., to do new customer acquisition. So they just say to you, would you like to use your LinkedIn list in order to get some further friends involved? And by the way, we will reward you for the same thing as well. I'm involved in Endurance Wind Power, which is a wind turbine company in Surrey, and doing extremely well. They'll go public next year, and they make wind turbines worldwide, and a great company. And the last one is a little startup over in Gastown called Kinch, and it's in the Bitcoin business. So you can see that I've got wide and deep going for me, and frankly, it's a lot of fun. Big challenge, but a lot of fun. Okay, let's keep on going. So this next slide, I'm just going to let you read. The name at the top is Peter Drucker. I suspect nobody in this room knows that name, but he was the granddaddy of management thinking back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and wrote this particular text, which resonates with me to this day. So I'll just let you read it for a couple of seconds, because it's the major theme, one of the 2 or 3 major themes I want to talk to you about tonight. Okay, so a couple of things that I take away from this. First off, the best thing you can do is, in your startup business, get customers as quickly as you can. Now, the issue in terms of what you have for value, is your innovation and your ability to actually communicate via this word marketing right here, what your innovation is about, in terms of in language and methodology that an average customer that wishes to buy your software can understand. This is where we're going tonight. I personally find that the communication issue, in terms of clarity of understanding what you want to do, is really lacking. So that's why I start with these seminars on the Growth Strategy program with this particular beachhead, if you wish. And we're going through that in detail tonight. But the purpose of this slide right here is get customers. Get customers, why? Why do you think, and this is a question, why do you think customers are of value to you, especially early on? What's important about customers? That's a question. Sorry? Hang on a sec. So Angie's going to give you the mic.
The proof of your the potential value of your idea.
Okay, so I'm going to take a little liberty, if you don't mind. So I'm going to say proof of your value proposition. Is that fair? Okay, good one. What's proof mean to you? That it works or could work better and possibly? Like proof could be extended to maybe feedback as well? Yeah. Okay, is that right? Especially early on, you need feedback. Okay, because you probably are not going to get it right or perfect in the beginning, so you need to get some feedback in terms of what to do better. Good point. Next one, anything else? Why are customers important in the beginning? Yes, sir.
They can help finance your initial growth.
By
paying for your product or service.
Okay, so we get some cash. Remember, I have a good friend, a VC locally. Revenue's an opinion, cash is fact. So we need cash to write payroll checks because you get put in jail if you don't have cash. So it's really, really important. So financial. Okay. And the last, there's 1 or 2 others that I would like to tease out of you. So anything else?
Customer referral.
Sorry?
Customer referral.
Perfect. That's excellent. So customer referral, if you don't mind, we'll use the phrase or the word reference. So they say to somebody else, it works. I have plowed the ground, and what these people are selling work. And if you want, come on over and we'll talk about it or do whatever. But it works. Okay, thank you. That was a good one. Anybody else? Those are 3 great ones.
direction for product development.
Right, okay, so I kind of fit that, maybe a little bit under feedback if you wish, but so that's value prop if you wish, and also product development. Is that fair enough? Okay, but you're quite right, because when you get version 1 out there, you're a long way from the goal line likely, and you're going to need more feedback in terms of what features to add or maybe change existing ones to be better, and you need that customer feedback, especially in the beginning. Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir. You're getting lots of exercise, Angie.
I guess with regards to getting more money from investors to prove some traction.
Mm-hmm. Fraction? Okay, meaning?
Adoption rate.
Okay, so that's fair. Certainly fair. So adoption, okay. Just a little diagram. So when you do marketing, there's a group called early adopters, and the next one over is called early majority. Early adopters are people that are prepared to take a chance with you in terms of a product being incomplete and buggy and whatever else. And the reason they're doing it is they want a competitive advantage. That's generally in the commercial environment, or it's toys for the boys in the consumer market. Okay, and these people over here are prepared to take a risk. Okay, so they're okay with risk. These people over here are not okay with risk. They want this thing wrapped up nice and tight, great support, bug-free, feature set, working exactly like they want to work. These people do not like risk. So this is a bad word over here. So the process that you're going to go through is you're going to get a bunch of these in the beginning, and then you're going to transition over to this group over here because this is where the big money is. Generally, this is about somewhere around 5 to 10% of the total universe that you may be pursuing, and you got to go find them. Okay, just a word of background. Our early adopter was an outfit called North Vancouver Rec Commission for the class software, the Parks and Rec stuff over in North Van. Great partner. We had a partnership with them for about 10 years. Is it still going, James? Okay, and it's without that person, I would not have been able to be successful with that thing at all. You need to find these people, and we'll talk a little bit later about how you find them, once you see them, what they look like. Are we getting echoes here? Are we doing okay? There we go. That's better. Okay. All right, next slide. Now, I saw this article in the paper last weekend. Does anybody see the article about David Bloomberg? So he put a lot of money into Hootsuite about 4 years ago, and in that last financing round that Ryan Holmes executed, he got a 54 times return in 4 years on his money. So he's back in town right now with a $150 million war chest, and if you dial up a company called, I need to hopefully get this name right, Angie, you probably want to check it, Truiloo. Is that right?
Yeah, we've got that on our blog too if you look for it.
Okay, so this guy's back in town. These guys are running a beauty contest on April 30th, and he's got $150 million. And why he comes to Vancouver, which is a lot of the reasons why BC comes to Vancouver right now, is this is a burgeoning area with not a lot of competition for investment dollars. The competition is actually pretty low. There's not very much money around town here, relatively speaking. So he's coming to town to basically see what else is going on out there, and he put some money into this company, which I know nothing about, quite frankly. All I know is if you dial this thing in right now, Bloomberg Truiloo, you'll see what's going on. The beauty contest list qualification closed on the 31st, I believe. But, you know, we're all entrepreneurs, so you just never know. So I would suggest if you're interested, it seems like a pretty good opportunity, and I would encourage you to get involved with these kinds of things because you need to sharpen your position, and it's a good opportunity to do that. So he wrote this list right here, and he said it's his 6 T's. So the first one, theme. What is the problem you're trying to solve? Okay, this is going to be our number 2 focus tonight in terms of theme for the evening. And who is going to lead you to the promised land? That'd be you. Do you have an unfair advantage? The lay of the land. Who are the competitors? We're going to talk about that tonight. What property is unique to you? Otherwise known as what is your moat, if you wish, in terms of your ability to withstand competition? excuse me, what is the time frame? Why now? You know, are you before your time or after you have time? I always viewed going into a startup area like surfing, where what you want to do is get the big wave coming right at that point in time, and you put your surfboard out and you ride that wave. So that's ideal. Before or after, not so good. So that's the reason for his question. The last one is money, and we're not going to talk about money tonight, but I believe one of the seminars coming talks about money, Angie, right? In terms of where to get it and what to look for in terms of conditions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, capital planning in May.
Okay. So, so we're going to talk tonight about the top 5. Okay. But I think I was really quite impressed with how this gentleman put this together, because I thought it was really precise and concise as well. Okay. So what is a startup? A startup is your intention to create a new product or service that meets the needs of an ever-growing list of customers, and you're in an extreme situation of uncertainty, right? That's correct. So in the beginning, where you are right now, you are in what's called the discovery stage. And does everybody know a name here called Steve Blank? B-L-A-N-K. Hands up. Okay, you need to dial that one up big time. Steve is a longtime Valley entrepreneur, professor at Stanford, and writes great stuff. So just type in Steve Blank Stanford, and you'll see a lot of great information about lean startups and stuff like that. He was really probably one of the granddaddies of that process, and I'm a big fan of it. So where you are right now is you have a hypothesis, which means you have an idea, possibly on a piece of paper, as to what your idea is. Your first discovery, part of your discovery process, is you have to convert your technology and product to work. And work equals facts. Does it actually work? So your first stage that you're going to go through of getting rid of uncertainty is to, in fact, transition to here. So, can you build your software product? Redland in Victoria is building this detector for radiation detection. They've been working at it now for 13 years. I would say it works, but it took 13 years. Okay? Long period of time, roughly about $45 million invested in it as well. Big period of time. But we did get it to work, and we are now selling what I would call products to the medical industry. This is your first focus in terms of what you need to do. Second focus is, per my chart over there, you need to get some customer use. So you need to get all those good words that we talked about over there and prove the value proposition, prove the adoption, prove the product fits, prove the whole thing. Okay? Because your goal is you want to become a sustainable business right here. And in order to do that, you need to be profitable. Can't be sustainable without profits. Secondly, you need to have a repeatable system. How you make money in the software business and the technology business is you take something that you've created and you resell it as often as you can. And the last one is you want to scale, meaning you want to grow. Because if you want an exit, you're going to have to demonstrate to a potential buyer that this thing has got growth opportunities, and you're going to be able to, or you and them are going to be able to make it happen. So what happens is that you transition to the early majority market, where the number of opportunities is far greater, and you then prove what's called a business model. And a business model encompasses these things right here, down at the bottom. Okay, so this is another theme that I want to leave with you tonight, is it's a bit of a journey, but it all starts with get your product work first and get it into customer hands so you can start to get feedback as early as possible. Let me pause there. Any questions? Everybody okay? Okay, so this chart is a graph that I put together which contrasts risk and customer acquisition, and those two are tightly aligned. So let's go to the beginning of the process where you have an idea. So note where it is on the risk curve, and it's got virtually no customers as well. So this, at this point in time, looking at it from an investor point of view, and you are an investor, is really like Las Vegas. This is very, very, very risky at this point in time. So the best thing you can do is start working your way down this curve. Note the emphasis now as the risk goes down, the customer acquisition goes up, and it just keeps right on going. And you'll see the various events that you have to go through in order to get to a relatively low-risk position, which is right here. Okay? So that's the important thing tonight, again, was number one theme for me to you is get customers. Get them as fast as you can because of those three reasons that we talked about over here. Okay. We doing okay? Good. All right. Now we're into assessing the opportunity. So our goal for the next probably 90 minutes is to get you a document that describes on a piece of paper, one side of a piece of paper, exactly what you do. So another name that's very prominent in the industry is a guy named Geoffrey Moore, Geoffrey Moore. He wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm. So Geoffrey Moore was an English PhD holder, and he ended up in Silicon Valley back in the late 80s. And he's doing various consulting and marketing work in Silicon Valley, and he's going to one company to another. And after a period of time, he says, you know, all these companies have a very similar process in terms of what the need is, different nuances in terms of execution and situation, but they're all basically the same. And their first problem is they can't put down on a piece of paper what the heck they're trying to do. So we are going to go through that tonight with you, and you're going to create version 1 of that piece of paper. And then what you're going to do is adopt Mr. Blank's strategy, which is get out of the building, and you're going to go talk to potential customers, potential investors, employees, friends, whoever you want to, who can get advice for you to give you feedback again on this particular document. But my goal tonight for you is to get version 1 started so you get an idea as to what to do. Okay? So here we go. A couple of points that I want to make clear to start with. I'm going to use some terms tonight repeatedly, and I hope consistently. First one is pain or need. Now, this is really an important concept that needs to be understood. So all of us, when we go to buy something, have a need in terms of what we want to acquire. And it can be whether my wife wants to buy a new fridge or a TV set or get a new dog, whatever the case may be, but we have a need. And I look at needs like a bullseye. And what you need to do is have this metaphor in your mind as well, because you need precision in terms of what this need is from a customer's point of view. So if you get some vague wording, like this particular customer's needs is to transition from a loss to profitability, that's totally useless. So we're going to concentrate tonight on getting a precise description of what this bullseye need is here, because think of it like building a house. You cannot build a house without a set of plans, typically, and what we're trying to do is understand what those plans are. So think of it as the bullseye right here, okay? Very, very important concept. Now, next one is value and benefit. So what customers buy is a benefit, actually, in terms of what you offer, and there's a value equation, which we're going to show you tonight, that allows you to compare yourself to the competition and other choices and make sure you're better than they are. And we're going to go through what that formula looks like. A tech person gets confused between benefit and feature. Okay? So I have a website. Is that a benefit or a feature? Pardon me? Feature, correct. And we're not buying features, we're buying benefits. So what we need to do is say, and that website does the following for me and delivers me some value of X, Y, or Z dimension, to be determined what that is. We'll talk about that tonight as well. But here, clearly differentiate between feature and benefit. The ACE Tech program, probably 80% of the CEOs going through there were all tech-oriented, and this was a very, very difficult concept for them to grasp. Features are important because they create benefits, but benefits are really, really important because that's what people buy. And the last one is differentiation. So let me pose this thought to you, or a situation to you. How differentiation works is there's a moment of truth in any purchase process where there's generally, say, two choices, choice A, choice B. And the customer is going through their mind going, should I buy this one or this one over here? And what you need in your product is a differentiation capability that somebody goes, wow, this thing is really different and much better because I need this thing over here. This is a clear choice for me. And it's a very important marketing concept that you're going to learn tonight, hopefully, or maybe already know, hopefully even more, and we're going to concentrate on that. It is without a doubt the hardest part of the whole thing in terms of getting this form together. It is really, really hard to do. And frankly has to be sustainable as well, because what happens is competitors come along and say, whoa, they're winning deals because of this differentiation right over here. We're going to load in that feature set or whatever it is into our product, and we're going to actually be equal to them then, or maybe better. So you need to understand that differentiation is a journey. It's a moment in time, but has to be evolved over time as well. It's not just a point and shoot situation. Okay? So let's keep on going. This is Moore's chart. So I broke it into 4 parts. We're not going to do part number 7 tonight because that's actually relatively straightforward by the time you get through the first 3 parts. So the first part in the green up top is your market. So line 1 says, who are you trying to contact, sell to as a target customer? And line 2 says, what is their precise need that they have that you are trying to solve? Okay. Line 3 is called product category, and that's a positioning statement, and it's basically a transition between the customer and you in terms of where your position is in this giant ecosystem. You got this little box that you really want to be the best of breed at, and exactly what is that description of that box? And we're going to give you a couple of techniques to get you on the road to defining that. Number 4 is the benefit. So we now have a benefit that's derived from, that solves that need. So line 4 solves the need in line 2. Okay? And it's a benefit. It's value to the customer and greater value than the competition, preferably, because the competition shows up in line number 5. And we're going to say, who is the competition? And line 6 is, what do you got that's going to beat the competition, otherwise known as differentiation? Okay? So we're going to fill out these first 3 blocks tonight. And we're going to do it 1, 2, and 3. So the green, blue, and red box over the next little while. Okay? For each of your situations. All right, let me pause here because this is a bit of a fire hose right now. Is there any thoughts or questions? We doing okay? All right. So a little background on this. Jeffrey Moore, the tech industry, and I was part of it, brought Jeffrey Moore to Vancouver in 1992, his first trip. Actually, he's been here, probably half a dozen times. He went to ACE-Tech conferences at Whistler 4 or 5, and I saw him there then. So I'm sitting in this theater in 1992 at BCIT, and he's up there, and he's taking one day to go through all these 7 line items. So he's doing it one by one, a little speech like I'm doing now, then we do some work, and it goes back and forth like this. At the end of the day, and I was using class software at that time as the example, at the end of the day, there was a lot of white paper that I didn't know answers to. And I was running the class business at that time, and it had been live for about 5 years. 87 was when we got started, and I couldn't answer the questions. So I had fear and delight, if you wish, going for me. Fear that, I better solve this problem, and delight meaning at least I got an opportunity and I know the questions to ask. So we went back to the office, got the management team together, and we sat down and went through it. Took a couple of weeks, and we settled on what this thing looked like, and the business became a much better business at that point in time. So I have tremendous experience with it. Secondly, I get asked a lot to do investing because it's known that I write checks. And in order to get by first base with me, whoever pings me, and it typically goes something like, Ralph, I heard your name from ABC, and can I buy you coffee for 15 minutes and talk about the splendid opportunity that I got? And I get probably 10 of them a week still, So I get pinged a lot, okay? So my reaction is I send back this little package, and I got a nice little email, standard email, and I send it back, and I go, if you fill this form out, part 1, and part 2, I like what you say in that form, I'll think about having a meeting with you. I would say the form gets filled out probably 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 20 times, because people just don't either want to do it or can't do it, one of the two. And then I get interested or not, depending on what the opportunity is. Point of the matter is, if you can't fill this form out, you don't understand your business, in my opinion. And if you don't understand your business, I don't want to put any money in your firm, because I don't think you know what you're doing. That's that simple. Okay? So, and I got gray hair. I've been around a long period of time. I would say my friends, and I've told this just what I told you a number of times, so there's a lot of people that do the same thing in Vancouver as well. This is an important concept. And when you go back to Bloomberg's 6 T's, it's number 2. Can you tell me, Bloomberg, in really simple business terms, what the heck you're doing? Okay? All right. Keep on going. So, paying gain, what good looks like. Let's get the whole slide up. What good looks like is you've got a very precise definition of your buyer out there. So I don't want to hear something like small businesses in Canada and their pain is they're losing money. Okay? And we're going to solve that problem. We need to boil the ocean, also known as a focus strategy, sometimes known as a beachhead. So I like the word beachhead because I used to be in the military, as you saw, and it represents to me we're getting we're precise in terms of where we want to go and what we want to do, rather than trying to solve a whole bunch of needs at anyone at this point in time. You don't have the resources to do that when you're a startup. It's just impossible. So the more precision you can get, the better, and that's where I'm going to push you tonight. And you'll see the trade-offs between the two as well. Actually, this part of it and line 4 and line 6. Second part is, anybody familiar with a phrase called greenfield? Does that make sense? Is that a known statement? Okay, so this lady right here, Angie, have you got your mic, Angie? Okay. Can you tell me what greenfield means, please?
Greenfield is an untapped, unused area, so it's where no one has been before.
Right. Thank you. And why do we like greenfield? Actually, Angie, let me just ask question 2 of that lady. Why is greenfield good?
Because you can actually introduce something that's new, and therefore you can make it earlier adoption.
Right. And lastly, can I add to it that there's probably limited competition. It may not be as good competition as other areas, right? So I like to see greenfield opportunities defined right out of the gate. So when you start on line 1 and line 2, I think the following way. Line 1 is, have you got precision in terms of who you want to talk to? Do you know exactly who you're going to talk to or contact or expect to have as a customer? Line 2 is, have you got a need nailed down that's quite precise? So again, I don't want something like we're losing money. Now, let's talk about this other dimension as well. I take need and my mind goes to how many people have this particular problem or pain or whatever the case may be. So think of it within an economics environment, supply and demand. I'm looking for how big the demand may be for this particular solution that you're buying, that you're going to try and create and sell. Okay? So investors like me don't want one customer, they want a whole bunch of customers. And if you solve this particular problem and you start to do a little elbowing, can the opportunity set grow seriously so that it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, faster, faster, faster? Okay? So my mind goes to demand as well in terms of feature set and need. Lastly, down at the bottom on the lower right-hand corner, what's it got to look like? I do not want a need that can be substituted for, can be postponed, or in some way or other truly disappear as a need. Okay, so when we went into, let's take class software, just an example, we sold it to municipalities. So what would be a question that I would ask a potential buyer in there in terms of how important this need is? Anybody got any ideas? Because there was one favorite question that I used to like to ask. No. So the lady said, how much does it cost? No. Okay, a little background on municipalities. They got a finite amount of money. They get it from taxpayers, and it circulates around the various departments. In a typical municipality, it's probably 15, 20 systems in the municipality itself, and it's department by department. So municipalities kind of circulate around, and there's a budgeting process, and they win the budgeting process year by year or lose it year by year, depending on how good their story is. So the question I would ask the potential customer is, did you get your project into the budget? And the phrase actually is, did it stick? Because they generally put a whole bunch of proposals in, but did it stick? And the notion of priority then comes to mind, which is this damn thing really important? Okay, and you want to hear something like it's maybe the top 3, preferably number 1, and it ain't going away. That's good. Okay, fair enough? All right, so let's do a couple of examples. I got 2 in particular. There was a company locally, gentleman's name was Jeff Auchinlack, good entrepreneur locally in what's called medical devices. He founded a company about 1995-ish or so called Neoteric. And the problem that he was addressing was hospitals, the blood bank departments in hospitals is what he's focusing on, and their need was their costs of running the blood bank department were too high. Okay? And it was due to blood wastage and also transfusion labor. So the whole process of doing transfusion is very, very labor intensive. And how blood worked in the old days was they had this big fridge, if you wish, of all the blood in the hospital, and they had an operating room suite. They had maybe, 10, 12 operating rooms, whatever. They knew what the patients were that were getting operations that day. They took the blood out of the hospital, blood out of the warehouse in the morning, and they put it in a little storage area right by the operating rooms. Okay? And it stayed there for the day. Unfortunately, it was room temperature or close enough, and they could not return the blood back to the warehouse, and they had to throw it away. And this was the business model that was happening at that time, highly wasteful, especially out of Canada, where in fact you get charged for blood. In Canada, we're fortunate enough, the Red Cross, we don't get charged for blood in hospitals. Rest of the world, you get charged. Okay? So that was his need. Okay? That was the problem that the hospitals had. So he would go in and talk to the hospital administrator, the blood bank administrator, and they would say, yes, we got this problem. It's really important to us. And it's priority number 1. We got to solve this one this year. Okay. Number 2 is an outfit called FitBrains. Anybody here heard of FitBrains? No? Really? Okay. I'll save my part 2 of the story for the next two lines. So FitBrains is a gaming organization, notionally, in Gastown. Started up about 6 or 7 years ago. And what their focus was to use gaming technology to improve, frankly, mental acuity in moms. Now, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble here, but here's what the target market was. A lot of ladies who have babies stay at home, and generally the reality then is their interaction and keeping their brain agile sometimes deteriorates. Now, I'm just telling this secondhand, and therefore what we wanted to do was take the gaming environment and essentially call it Mom is going to take her brain to a gym through our technology. So we created this gaming company, and the target market was females aged 35 to 55 in North America who want to maintain their brain acuity. Okay, so take the brain to a gym. All right? So those are 2 examples. Any questions? Nope. Good. So here's what your job is now. You're going to take a piece of paper, whatever, and you're going to write line 1 and line 2 for your opportunity. And here's what, you got 10 minutes. And again, this is a little bit of background. Now, I can leave this slide up, but probably not. You guys have got all these slides, so you can look at that. But it's that top 2 lines that we want to have you present to us. So we're then going to select a couple of people, and they're going to come up to the room, front of the room, and Angie's going to hand them the mic, and you're going to tell us what the for statement is and the who need. And we'll probably do 2 or 3. And this is an opportunity. If you want to go to the washroom or whatever, or grab a coffee, feel free to do so. So, this is Shannon.
Yes.
Okay, from Go-To Plan. So, Shannon, here's the deal. Your first word coming out of your mouth is for. Now, you can have maybe 40 words after that, but I don't want any corporate explanation or how you got here tonight or anything like that. First word's for. Second, and after you're done with that stream of words, the next one is who need. Okay? Go for it.
Go Plan Go
Go Plan Go
is for millennials, Gen X and Gen Y, with access to disposable and discretionary income, who need to easily find and book fun activities without worrying if the activity is booked up, out of season, too far away, or suffers from poor customer service.
Okay, good. Not bad. Let's give him a hand. Come on. This is a support network. So this gentleman right here.
First word is for?
First word's for.
First word's for. Okay. For households with 3 or fewer people in high-density urban neighborhoods, specifically young married or single people who need affordable, healthy, home-cooked meals, or who seek to take advantage of the cost efficiencies of cooking in higher quantities, larger quantities, sorry.
Okay, so no, don't go away.
Sorry.
So can you read the who need line again?
Sure thing.
Okay.
Who need affordable, healthy, home-cooked meals, or who seek to take advantage of the cost efficiencies of cooking in larger quantities.
Okay, so this is a typical result, if you wish, where there's an either or two kind of needs defined. One of those needs is going to become most important. And you're going to need to discover that. Now, I don't have a problem tonight with you doing that, but you're going to need to net the second line down, because what's going to happen is as you start to create your technology, you're going to have 2 bullseyes. One for the first part of it, up to the word or, and then another one for the after the word or as well, I think, okay? And what you need is focus, focus, focus. So I'm going to tell you a little story while you're standing there. Your name is?
I'm Dylan.
Dylan,
From
okay.
Whiteovers.
Okay. So Neoteric. What happened with Neoteric was they had 2 needs that they were trying to solve. They thought one was cost and the other was deaths. When you do a transfusion, you can die. If you get the transfusion wrong, you can die. And the other one is obviously cost in the hospitals. So let me ask you a question to the group. Which one of those 2 do you think was most important? So let's just have a show of hands. We'll start with costs. Who thinks costs are the most important? In hospitals, right? You're the CFO in a hospital, Chief Financial Officer. Who thinks costs are most important here? Okay, who thinks deaths are most important? Oh, come on, you guys haven't voted. Come on, come on. Okay, so being a good Canadian, and his name was Jeff, we picked deaths. Okay, so we got these 2 needs right in that line, exactly what this gentleman's got. So we picked deaths, and he came back to me after about 90 days of walking around hospitals and talking to everybody going, Ralph, this doesn't fly. It's got to be costs. So my point is that you're going to go about doing some discovery, remember that little box, and you're going to figure out which one of those 2 is the most important. But do this early because you only want one of those. Okay? Deal. Words of advice.
Thank you.
Okay? Great. Okay. So we've now done line 1 and 2, and we're going to, we're good for time, so we're going to get lots of people up here, I hope. And every single person that comes up here is going to start on line 1. So all the newbies are going to start on line 1 as well. So we're not doing line 3 or 4 next. We're going to talk about line 3 or 4 now, but you're going to add it to line 1 and 2. Okay, so now we're into line 1 and 2. Product X is. So the first one is we need to get some definitions down. So let's go through this key concept, if you wish, Product X. So here's the buyer's problem. They need to find you, okay? And therefore, and the metaphor I like to use, and you're going to see this on the slide shortly, is what would you type into Google search? So let's just go to here a sec. Okay, so let's say they're trying to find your product, Go Plan Go. What would be the phrase that you would type into Google search box in order to find Go Plan Go? Okay, that's what goes into this line, because what it does is it then attaches you to a potential customer, more importantly, vice versa. So this is your sandbox, this is your positioning, so you need to figure out what that looks like. And the favorite way I like to suggest is think of it this way. Now there's another way of looking at it as well. So Go Plan Go. Let's just talk about you, Shannon. Do you have is there a competitor out there? Most of the opportunities I find in Vancouver are me too, only better. Okay, it's that kind of an approach. Yes. Do you have thanks Angie. Do you have a me too guy out there? You know, there's this piece of software over here. It's really not very good, but we like this one over here because he's plowed the ground, got the market going, but we're going to come in there behind him and nail him.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Who is that?
My Time in San Francisco.
Okay, My Time in San Francisco. And they do similar to you?
similar in a certain capacity, yes.
Okay. So here's what you want to do. You want to leverage that relationship by saying, we are like My Time in San Francisco, only we do the following as well. Okay? So for the buyer or the investor, they go to My Time and they go down the website for My Time and they go, oh, that's what they do. And then you got this other 6 words or whatever is afterwards, appended together. I got a pretty clear idea as to what you do. Okay? So there's 2 techniques. One is Google search, a la this thing right here. And secondly is just as I described, which is me too only, da 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 da. Okay, so that helps? Does that help? Okay, so that's the first one. Key concept under product is. That provides, this is where we get into benefit and value now that are solving the pain. So this gentleman just asked, what is the 4th line? It's the benefit that derives value that solves the pain and gain. I know what that says, so let's just keep on going to the next slide right after this one. So my favorite metaphor is think of yourself like an ambulance where the customer has got a bunch of pain, they're hurting like heck right now, and you arrive on the scene and you're in the ambulance. And the ambulance has got a couple of characteristics that I really think are valuable. One is there's a quality of solution. There's a quantity of solution, namely the features in your product. And the last one is time. You get there in jig time. You're there when the problem happens. Okay, so if you think of yourself as an ambulance solving a particular patient's problem, that's exactly the right metaphor I want to leave with you tonight. So we're in the business of saying this individual has got a heart attack going, and we've got all the equipment we need. We've got the expertise because we're trained. We've got communications back to the hospital so we can help out. And by the way, we got on the scene 30 seconds after he had the heart attack, so we're probably going to keep this gentleman alive or person alive without not a lot of problem. Okay? Now, let's keep on going because we need to get these definitions nailed. So feature, what your product does. So let's take class software. We did registration for courses as one of the number of things we did for courses. Is that a feature or benefit? You go to your rec department, we'll get you in a course. Is that a feature or benefit? Okay. Who says feature? Please say feature because that's the right answer. Okay. So it's a feature. What's the benefit of being able to register for the course? Sorry?
Saving time.
Okay, this gentleman says saving time. I'll help you out here, Angie. Okay, any other benefits out there? James, what about you? What's the benefit of registering for a course?
Saves time and allows my family to participate in recreation.
Yeah, you can do some planning. So, mom's going to the North Van Rec Center. She wants to take all 3 kids at the same time. She can see other things going on and plan accordingly. One trip, all the kids are there at the same time. They go, they come back, planning. How about from the purchaser's point of view, North Van Rec Commission? Why do they want registration being automated? What's the big advantage of that?
Lineups, reduce lineups, improve customer service.
Yeah. Okay, so a little humorous story actually. So the reason we got North Van was there's a publication on the North Shore called the North Shore News. And back in the good old days when it was all manual registration, you used to have to line up. So you get there and it was 4 times a year. So you'd line up and you'd line up about 2 in the morning and you'd wait your turn to actually do the registration. And you would go from one facility to another in North Van because there was no interconnection at all. So mom would arrive at 2 in the morning, try and get registered in this facility. Then if swimming was someplace else, she'd have to go elsewhere. Anyway, what happened was people started butting into lines. So them that get there about 6 o'clock in the morning would butt into lines. And Gary Young was the CEO at the time. And what happened was fights started. So fights started and the North Shore News showed up. And they showed up with a photographer. And this ended up on the front page of the North Shore News. Now, politicians have one goal in mind, and that is to get reelected. That is their sole purpose in life. And getting on the North Shore News, courtesy of fights at the rec center, doesn't do it. So they solved that problem by saying to Gary, here's a bucket of money, Gary. You go solve that problem, which is how I got to Gary. True story. Okay? So the pain there was, or the feature again was he had to do registrations. And the benefit is everything we've talked about so far. So the value is for the rec center was we did not have any more problems with lineups. We got rid of the problem called fights in the line. And believe me, that was a big, big win for the Rec Commission at that time. Okay? Now, you then go down the line. So let's say that benefit's worth, from a customer service point of view, I don't know, a couple $100,000 to Gary per year. Saved on staff, increased customer satisfaction, got more bookings, frankly, increase in revenue. So there was a lot of value to him in terms of that benefit. Okay? Now, we charged him $100,000, let's say. So Gary had $200,000 worth of benefits, courtesy of the feature called the program registration system. We charged him $100,000. His value was $100,000. Let's make the math easy. Let's say this is $250,000, this is $150,000. Okay? That's how the formula works. So when you're selling, it's your value, as you will see in the next couple of slides, versus somebody else's value, because you are not unique. Gary looked at other opportunities as well. He had choices, and he decided we were the best game in town. Okay? This is a very important slide for you to understand. And the best thing I can leave with you tonight is think very clearly about the word benefit. So think that this feature is there only because it derives value to the customer. Now, on a grander scale, here's the thought I want you to again leave with you in this context. When a programmer comes to you and says, I want to put this feature in, I want to spend 10 hours putting this feature into the software, the question you need to ask yourself is, what is my value as a business owner from letting that person do that? What is the value that the customer is going to derive from putting that 10 hours in at $100 an hour? So he's spending $1,000 of your money putting that feature in. Is that the best use of his resource and time in order to get you value for your product? Because the world pivots on benefit and value, and we're going to get more into this equation. Okay? Now, let's keep on going. There are two types of benefits out there, two categories, and I am by no means an artist, so you'll, I'm sure, start to laugh with this, but we'll do it anyway. So, this is a person, okay? And there's kind of two parts to how they think about making a decision. The first one is right here, which is their heart, otherwise known as emotion. And the second over here is their brain, which I will draw a little light bulb as best as I can. That's a light bulb right there. Okay, and this is logic. Now, it's generally considered true that decisions are made first by you appealing to this right here, and then they're justified by this process up here, and out comes the decision. Okay? So we're going to talk about the logic part of it first. And the logic part of the decision in the context of a business environment generally pivots around money and risk. So the first one up there is basically money. So you increase revenue, reduce costs, or increase profit, in no particular that order. We'll take the order that's up on the screen. Second one is you create operational efficiencies, and the third one is risk. So in some way, shape, or form, you're reducing risk. Okay? That is in descending order of value. I wrote that in that sequence on purpose in terms of power. Reward stream is in the business of doing customer acquisition, new customers. As an example of one I mentioned, I was on the board of that one. And they help customers get more revenue. Believe me, we get to talk to the high-priced help in every organization because we talk revenue. We own right now 75% of the wireless market in the United States for new customer acquisition. AT&T, Sprint, Virgin, Boost, you name it, down there. We got them as customers right now. And the reason is we're in talking to the C-suite about revenue. We're stealing customers, quote unquote, from other suppliers because it's basically a zero-sum game. When you can talk revenue, it's the most powerful way to do it, powerful focus that you can get. On the risk side, it's a little bit more difficult. We've all bought insurance. Okay, and you can think like reducing risk. If your value proposition is in the risk area, you're basically selling insurance. We are going to, in the event of this catastrophic situation, save you, but is the catastrophic situation going to occur? Okay. Now, the next slide is regarding the emotional ones right here. So the first two are kind of business related, customer and employee satisfaction. So a little story about how I can get employee up there. When we first started selling class, we were one of the first vendors in Windows. So I'm probably dating myself, but it's a true story. And we went to Phoenix, Arizona, and started talking to them. And the IT department got involved and said, oh, you're in Windows. We don't have any Windows projects right here, and we would like to do some Windows stuff. They couldn't have cared less who the competition was. We had them by the arm, and we were walking hand in hand into the chief administrator's office, and we got the deal in jig time because they just simply endorsed it and they pushed it. Okay? And the reason why we worked on their employee sat, we did that a few times as well. Okay? Customer sat's pretty obvious. And number 2 sets of bullets under there are other things that you can personally appeal to. So you take the likes of, say, FitBrains. There's an image thing down here, reputation, entertainment and fun, health and well-being. You see all those ones down there. Okay? So I'm sure some of these are going to apply to your particular product. Right? Okay? Any questions? All right, let's keep on going. So now we're into some examples. Back to Neoteric, our folks that do the blood transfusion thing. Neoteric is a blood transfusion management hardware and software solution. So we take care of the full needs of blood transfusion and management of that whole process. That's what the product is. It's a combination of hardware and software together that we solve the problem. The hardware actually is a small fridge on wheels. That's all it was. So you took the blood out of the main blood bank area, put it into a small fridge, took it over to the operating suite, and left it there for the day. Since it was chilled, you could take it and put it back. Solve the blood wastage problem that way. Okay, that provides control access storage, otherwise known as this fridge I just talked about. And the unused blood then went back to central storage, eliminating wastage. That's how it happened. All we did was go to Italy. We got these neat little fridges, specially designed, took care of the blood. They wheeled them out there, wheeled them back. That was it. Now, we did some other stuff that you'll hear about in a minute. Okay? Now, next one, FitBrains. Okay, scientifically proven. So we had a gentleman named Paul Nussbaum from the University of Pittsburgh, and he was a specialist in the brain. Got into concussions with the NFL in a big way most recently, but he has done brain research for years. And what he did was, he was the one that provided us the model for how we could enhance the brain through exercise. And he was the one that basically said, if we do this in our games, if you wish, then in fact we can be successful in helping people. Okay, so there are 5 parts of the brain, and we created about 50 games that would allow the brain to be exercised, depending on which part of the brain you wanted to exercise. That's what we did. That was our value to the customer. So they were fun, they were easy to run with, but our purpose in life was to create a much healthier lifestyle, which we did. And we got a lot of kudos for doing this as well. Now, a good little story on this one, because this one should resonate with you big time. So I was one of 6 or 7 investors, as in writing checks in this company back about 2008, right in the depths of the problem, if you wish, the financial crisis. And so time went by. We were doing just bebop, and kind of breaking even and not really making much progress. About June 2012, Michael Cole, who's the CEO, came to us and said, look, this thing is either going to go down or go up. And we had tried to sell it at that time. And we found no buyers. So we were about an inch away from shutting it down. Like zero, we'll just take the cash, distribute it to shareholders, walk away. He said to us, nope, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try and go mobile. So I'm going to push this thing, Angie, this one right here. And you see the stuff I put in red. So in about September, he started launching mobile apps. And we went to the top of Apple's list in education for about 6 months in a row in North America. Okay? Like we were number one. We were God. So went through 2012. We were doing really, really well. Middle of 2013, we get a call from Rosetta Stone. Anybody know Rosetta Stone? They make language stuff. And they put an offer on the table for $14 million, and we sold the company in January. Okay? So 18 months, we went from 0 to $14 million. Okay, so it can be done. Can be done. Okay? So this is your next task, is to take lines 3 and 4. And this is a little primer, if you wish, in terms of what you want to put in those particular lines. So I'll go back to this slide right here so you can fill it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the back of the room down here. Angie will walk down. We'll get a couple of volunteers up here. And you can come up and tell us line 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So we're going to talk about all 4 lines. And the first word out of this lady's lips are going to be 4. And the lady's name is Michelle. So Michelle, stage is yours.
Good evening. Sorry, not the first word.
Okay.
For people and organizations that have projects. These projects can be auto restoration, renovation, home building, and they want to showcase their projects from start to finish, and also for people who want to follow those projects. Who needs these are project owners who want to increase their profile globally while promoting their level of expertise and create like-minded community members. Also allowing followers to want to engage and be potential buyers while be more informed on the project. Cool Projects is a new social networking platform specific to showcasing all types of projects from start to finish with the ability to create like-minded people. What's the next thing, sorry? Number 4?
Yeah, that provides, which is the
Okay.
benefit. What's your system do?
Okay, so what did it do? Okay, so it is a social networking platform that allows you to build a customer base and have the option to sell, promote completed projects, or also the ability to publish a book about your project. This provides more exposure than a website, help build customer base, and generate revenue with the option to sell your completed projects online.
Okay. So don't go away, Michelle. So let's talk about what Michelle just said. So did anybody here get a clear idea as to what this little bullseye is for line 2 for Michelle? Can you read line 2 again, the who need?
Project owners who want to increase their profile globally while promoting their level of expertise and create like-minded communities in regards to projects.
Okay. How does the group feel about that? Is that precise? If I handed that to a programmer, could they program that software based on that spec? And I'm being a little facetious here because the answer is obviously no, but it seems a little amorphous to me. Okay. I kind of get an idea as to where you're going. So let's just learn from this a little bit. I have no difficulty with lots of words at this point in time. It's going to get wordsmithed down as you start throwing out words that are not necessary. I will go to, in the 3rd line where it says product is, your product is, use the word new. Okay, that sounds like a marketing brochure. This is not a marketing brochure. This is a strategy paper. Right. So you nuke the word like new, for instance, okay? But the idea of getting lots of words in there now is probably good. And then you sit down with somebody who knows how to run one of these things, and then we start throwing out words or putting different ones in as well. Okay, so probably it's there. I just didn't get it right away. Okay? Okay? Cool. But, good start.
Thank you.
All right? Okay. So there was a bunch of hands up down here before. This gentleman right here was one. Why don't you come on up the front of the room? Hi, I'm Ralph. Bobek? Bobek, okay, good. Welcome to the front of the room.
So, for individuals in public places, such as cities, campuses, and venues, who need an umbrella in a sudden rain or do not like to carry the burden of one. And this product is an umbrella sharing company, and that provides convenience for people and promote shared consumption spirit.
Nice. Okay, kind of like go-to car only for umbrellas?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
All right, good. All right. Okay. Thank you. That was good. That was fun. Okay, one more down here. This gentleman in the red. I know you had your shirt up. No? Are we embarrassing you?
No, not at all.
Oh, come on then. Okay. This gentleman in the blue will get you next. Okay.
So for
Four.
skiers,
Okay.
snowboarders, intense athletes, and who need something to control their phones, GoPro camera, music player, while they're doing the activity.
Okay.
And then the product is a ring. Then
Oh.
they can wear a ring.
Okay.
You put on your index finger. It can be underneath your glove, and it provides. So the ring has movement gesture control, and it provides.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So
So you can run the devices
you
courtesy
do
of that?
this,
Really?
You take your call. You do this. You reject your call, and then
Really?
or change music album.
Okay.
And benefit is that you don't have to take off your
Yeah.
glove.
Yeah. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient and easy, right? And those are nice words to put in there. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good one. Oh, wow. Another home run. So I got a customer for you. So there's anybody see Dragon's Den? Anybody watch Dragon's Den? Okay. Anybody seen a company on there called Schnarpt? They're hockey guys. Seen them? Okay. So I'm their mentor. And actually, there was a GoPro article in the Business Week, last issue of the Business Week, and they're looking for an opportunity, something to drive that as well. So you come up to me afterwards. The guy's name is Dustin Sprout, and I'll put you in touch with him because they're looking to bundle up some stuff and actually get in there as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. It's exactly what they're looking for because they want to put something on Sedin, let them run around the ice, do a drill or something like that, and then put it on Twitter or something like that or YouTube, whatever. Actually, no, they want to take it as an attachment to Twitter. So, yeah, good one.
Thanks.
All right, good. Hey, we're on a roll. It was fun. So, how are we doing for time, Angie? 8 o'clock. Let's do one more, and then we'll do the last part. Is that okay? All right, so this gentleman right here in blue.
So, for urban professionals living in apartment buildings who want fresh herbs but they don't have the time or the commitment to look after them, Eden is a nice looking indoor herb garden that provides a fully automated solution to grow herbs in your living room. All you have to do is to press the start button and it takes care of the watering and simulates the sun.
That is good. Well done. Well done. We're on a roll. That's great, Daniel. Good job. That's really good. Okay, this is the, I don't know how many times I've done this, a couple of hundred or something like that. We're doing really, really well tonight. So good on you guys. Okay, so let's keep on going. We're now into the last, the third of 3 parts. So this is where the cheese starts to bind. So let's just do a little drawing here in terms of what the issue is. So there's you and there's the competition. Okay, and what we're going to do is define the competition. We're going to call the competition A. So this is you, right here. Now we need to win the deal. This is not like the Olympics. Unfortunately, there is only one gold medal given out, and that's the one that gets the purchase order notionally. So we need to get that deal nailed down. So now we're going to talk about what we need to do to win against the competitor right here. Up until now, it's been a wide open playing field. When there's a concept in sales called the sales funnel, whether it be in any one of the business strategies that you're going to put up, kind of the opportunity set kind of waterfalls down this sales funnel, and it gets down to a point where the buyer has got probably 2 choices, 2 or 3, something like that, and they're going to make a decision. And you got to separate yourself from all the other opportunities out there and win the deal. Okay? So that's the situation that we're in right now. So what we want to do is how you win. So how you win is you have this differentiation factor, and harken back to Mr. Blumberg's, I think it's number 5, and this is where investors like me go, which is how well have you thought it out, but more importantly, how powerful it is to win against the competition. Okay? Now, there's two types of differentiation. One is we are the only one that can do this particular thing and you really like it, the only one, or we can do it better. We can do it like somebody else, only better. Obviously, the exclusivity factor is much better. It's much more powerful because then the conversation is all over. There's no decision-making in the eyes of the buyer who sits right here what to do. There's no judgment call or anything like that. But nevertheless, it's a rare situation where you're in a position where you're the only game in town for a differentiator, especially in software, because software can be created very quickly, as you well know, and takes care of that problem. Okay? So let's keep on going. This is the equation that you're faced. So we talked before about your benefits and value. That's this one right here. And the goal is to do this relative to the competition because the buyer is looking at their equivalency as well, and the buyer has to agree. So despite what you think it being better in terms of a value equation or value differential, if the buyer doesn't agree, and there's a thing called the golden rule when you're buying, which is he who has the gold gets to make the rules. So you need to get the buyer to agree as well. Okay, so here's how it works. Let's say there's a moment of truth, and both you and the competitors are in there, and your line 4, which is the benefits line, is roughly equal. They walk in the door because they've got the first 10 minutes talking to the customer. They walk in the door and they put their differentiator on the table. And this happens all the time, for instance, in Parks and Rec. You get down to 2, the committee phones you up and says, you got 15, 20 minutes, tell us why we should buy from you. What's better, different, and more powerful from you. So competitor went in the door, they increased their value proposition up to where the top dotted line is, and you went in the door and smoked it by getting them to agree that your differentiator is even stronger than theirs incrementally and measurably and of value to the customer as well, and the customer agrees. Keep this model in mind. That's the purpose of this line right here. And not only is it now, as I mentioned when we got started, this is an ongoing issue that you have to face. My opinion, back in 2004 when I left, class was a commodity. We had no differentiator, in my opinion, at all. James may disagree with that, but there wasn't anything. Selling it was damn hard. Fortunately, we had some of the best sales reps of the industry, and they could make a mountain out of a molehill, if you wish, but nonetheless, that's what it was about. And I, frankly, it was probably one of the big reasons I left, is I saw the writing on the wall and going, this is not good. Okay? So, let's talk about smartphones, and let's just think about strategy in the smartphone market for a couple of seconds. So this is the general lines 1 through 4 for a smartphone, whether it be Apple or RIM or Android. Okay, so you're working for Apple, okay, and you're competing against RIM and Android. Where is your target market? And what is the benefit that you're going to sell? What is line 1 and line 4 if you're an Apple sales rep? Line 1 and line 4. Actually, let's start with line 4. We'll just concentrate on line 4 tonight. So what is the thing that you're going to sell that's going to cause you to be different than Apple and than RIM and Apple and Android? I'm sorry. Think about word. What is the word that Apple products normally get ascribed to? Starts with a C, got a couple O's, and an L. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to sell to people that think Apple is cool. Who are they? Line 1. Who are they? Who's your target market for people that think Apple's cool? 15 to 25-year-olds? I think. That's where I'd go. So I'd probably go to universities. You know, there's an image issue, a whatever issue, but that's where the cool folks are. Probably are people that demand cool. Now let's go to Google. Okay, so same question. What's unique about Google? Otherwise known as Android. So I'll give you an opportunity to think about this. Let's say you're the CIO manager. You're the manager of all the IT services for IBM, and that's line 1. Okay? So we're concentrating on you. Why would that CIO like Google or Android?
Cheaper.
Sorry?
Cheaper.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, keep on going.
It's everywhere.
There you go. And the word is ubiquitous. Quitus. Okay? Probably got it spelled wrong, but you get the idea. Okay? It's everywhere. If I'm in Asia, I can get an Android box. If I'm in wherever, I can get an Android box. It's functional. It comes on different devices because some manufacturers may be better supported in certain areas than others. But by and large, it's the same thing. It's cheaper, as this gentleman said, but it's all over the place. Okay? And let's talk about RIM. Where is RIM's unique advantage? Probably still to this day. There you go. So who's going to buy security? Who has high security needs? Pardon? Right? Medical, the banks, frankly, NSA, just ask Snowden. There's a number of folks out there that actually still value it, and they just got permission back to the U.S. government again. So this sinks in, right? So where I'm going is there's a relationship between what your unique differentiator is down here as a provider of product and line 1 and line 2, all the way up the line. So you're going to start to net down your market, and that's how this thing starts to work well, is you start to get focus in terms of where you're going to win. Your probability goes up where you're going to win based on this right here. Okay? Against this customer right here, or these competitors up here, you're going to win because I do this really, really well, and my risk goes down, my probability of getting the deal goes up. Really important. Look at Mr. Blumberg's line, I think it's 5, and that's where he's going to go after his eyes understand, or after he understands what you're talking about. Okay? So let's talk about how the buyer buys. The best benefit, value statement, and differentiator is going to win the deal every single time. And so what your role is, what your need is, to make it really easy for them to recognize what your value is and buy. That's what your goal in life is. If you get down to you don't have that going for you, then in fact price is going to come into play, and you do not want to be in that game because it's not sustainable. You do not have enough resources to play that game. And lastly, lowest risk. So the bigger company typically is going to win the deal at that point. That's not you either. So your only goal and strategy is to get line 1 nailed. That's really how it works. Okay? So now we're into line 5 and 6 relative to Neoteric. Now, their competition was paper-based systems still. So the hospital had, at that point in time, still a paper-based system. And frankly, our Parks and Rec competition was paper-based as well. So it was pretty disruptive us putting that in, but they felt the value severely or majorly outweighed it. So let's see, it was Winston actually asked me this question. So Winston, here's a metaphor for you that you asked me the question, you kind of got customer and buyer going for you in 2 ways. So note this line item right here, which is for the buyer, which is the hospital. They're going to be able to reduce their costs. Okay? But note that this line right here eliminates deaths. So this is for the customer themselves, the actual patient themselves in terms of a win, which is what I was talking about tonight. Where's your hand? Put up your hand, Winston. Okay, does this make sense now? So you're talking about online banking. You got something here for the customer, the bank itself, but then how about me as a user of the online system as well down in here? Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, so FitBrains, back to this one. Loomis Labs was their biggest competitor and probably still is. They had $35 million invested in Loomis Labs by VCs in the Valley, and we had $975,000 into FitBrains. So they were fierce competitors. But what we did was we got really good at this stuff right here. So you can think of what we were trying to do with a product as we certainly helped your healthy lifestyle courtesy of exercising your brain, but we also made it fun. So for us that buy memberships to the gym every January, and you go to the gym and it's not fun and there's no relationship and it's not whatever, it's just a chore. In fact, we solved that problem. And one of the reasons, or one of the values that paid off is, and that's what Rosetta Stone recognized, was stickiness, right here. We did a really good job of making people come back. So our return visits were just huge. Okay. All right, so over to you guys, line 5 and line 6, and we'll get some more folks up here. And this is just some advice in terms of what good looks like as well. So point taken, just pick one competitor, and I will put a couple of competitors up there that are quite possible. One is do nothing, that's a competitor, right? Just inertia. Your value prop's not good enough, we're just sticking with what we got. And the second one is internal. So when you're into industrial reality, sometimes the IT departments come along and say, that looks pretty easy, we can do it themselves. We can do it ourselves. And so they just turn it over to those guys. Okay? So pick who your big competitor is going to be. And then we'll get 3 or 4 folks up the front of the room as well.
Hi, I'm Kathy. Great. It's for kids ages 8 to 14 that travel with their parents. It's for families that travel and want their kids to experience a destination at their own interest level. The product's called Kids on Trips, and it's a series of interactive mobile destination apps for kids that are apps that are created for kids and not their parents. That provides kids with a fun, creative learning guide that accompanies them on a trip, allowing them to experience and explore a destination at their level and at their own pace. It is unlike the competitor called GoTrex, and our product is more fun, more dynamic, and more social.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good. Okay, anybody else that hasn't done one before? So Dale, over to Dale, and then this gentleman over here. There you go. Oh, right, sorry. I need to turn my mic on.
Okay. So for small restaurant and retail owners who need to increase their sales, Drive BI is a SaaS-based mobile business management software solution that provides the only one-stop shop for visual mobile reporting, measuring marketing ROI, and customer employee retention tools. Unlike other BI and engagement software solutions, we make it easy to get control over your business without IT support, programmers, or graphic designers. Our app generators allow you to create custom mobile apps in minutes for you to generate content that keep your customers and employees passionate about your business.
Okay, so don't go away. So let's just go to line 1 again. So did I hear 2 things in that line? One was restaurant, second was retail?
Retail.
Okay, so tell me, are they identical? If you went in and said, give me what your top needs are, is it still get back to line 2, which is sales?
It does.
Okay, because it strikes me as though a sale to a restaurant, a revenue transaction for a restaurant is different than a revenue transaction for a retailer. And I'm from Missouri on this one.
I would say that the principles of customer retention, employee retention, and marketing ROI are identical.
Okay, so if I was your chief marketing officer and where this thing is right now, I would test which one of those 2 is going to be the right one, because you will find as you start to get into the market, there is a user interface difference, I'll bet. There's probably some reporting differences, and the whole notion of support is probably different as well, talking to a retailer versus a restaurant, I think. So your ripple effect in the organization by trying to expand into those 2 is going to be probably bigger than you think. So I think you're going to end up trying to figure out which one of those 2 is the best beachhead one. Not necessarily in the long term, you can go both of them, but in the beachhead strategy, you're probably one of those 2 is going to win.
So in our software, we have customization for either, so you can actually customize it specifically for retail or specifically for restaurant.
Okay.
And as in beta test, we're getting equal responses from both restaurant and retail.
Okay.
So I guess we have to see who gives us the best response and run with that. So
Well, that's exactly right. So let the market make the decision for you. You know, you put equal effort, if you wish, into both those segments, and one of them's going to win.
Okay.
And one of them will probably win big time versus the other. That's generally what happens. And then you go to a secondary market or another one for that matter. Okay,
thanks.
good one. That's good. And I like Dale's a lot because Dale, Good. Dale's going to revenue, right? You're going to sales, right? You want to increase the sales of either retail or restaurant.
That's right.
Sweet spot. Really, really good one. Okay, there was one gentleman, sir, gentleman in the blue. Okay.
Hello, my name is Matt from Harness Technology.
Okay.
We are a software company. We do the core of the programming. We change the code, the kernel, the code.
Yep.
We focus on memory, automatic memory management. We do an innovative way, a patent way, different from the Apple and the Microsoft. We use innovative new ways to do solve the problem.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So who's going to buy it? Who's your target buyer?
Because it's shorten the development cycles. So the programmers, the software companies, so they will be very interested about this technology.
Now, you're probably a component, are you not? You would be a component inside a development system? Would you not? Can you sell this thing standalone? Can somebody just use it standalone?
It's a library, a static library, like SDK, software development kits.
Yeah.
So programmers, they download this package.
Yeah.
And just linking. I just talk about iOS, iPhone developers.
Yeah.
They just linking, and our automatic memory, our code is working.
Okay.
Help them to reduce the leaks, reduce less bugs, run faster, and more importantly is smoothly.
Okay. Is your target market app developers?
This is part of our target market.
Okay, part of it.
Yeah, part of it.
Okay.
Basically C++, C++, and Objective-C programmers, and maybe other language. We need to do some more works too for other language.
Okay. So in line 1, you need to put in for C++ programmers.
And Objective-C, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, but whatever the code environment is, you need to put that in line 1 as well, because that kind of takes the world at large. So it's not basic or anything like that. It's just those programming languages, right? For those kinds of developers.
We have good products, but the business part we need to go to a next levels to do the marketing, to let people know we have these technologies.
Yeah, no,
it's hard to understand for developers without getting something like that.
Okay, so you have the most technical opportunity going for you tonight, so good luck to you. So this is Matt. Take care. Okay, pretty good night. So what we've got is another 3 or 4 slides now. We're going to wrap up this section. So I always get asked, what is the connection between features, benefit, price, and value? So I put this little slide together, and hopefully it'll help you out in terms of making the connection. So on the upper right-hand corner, we have a buyer who's represented by the target market box who has a need or pain. Now what we're doing is we want to have some early conversation or conversations with early adopters to make sure we've got this thing right. So this is your business plan in a nutshell. All you got to do is fill in exactly what you're going to do after this one. So the next thing you do is down the right-hand side, we're worried about the customer end of the game in terms of the value and the benefit statement and the whole value proposition environment that we're going to present to the customer. Okay, so that's this side over here, obviously. So we want to make sure that that's as crisp as possible. We've been talking about that tonight, and that's this template that we have developed so far. The purpose in life on the other side is to create a solution that's going to solve that need, and it starts with a product that's got a bunch of features in it. Then the next thing that happens is, oops, we got this thing out of order. Let me get it all up here. So we'll then go down this list right here. Once you get the feature set defined for this target market buyer over here, you then develop what's called your MVP, and everybody in this room knows what that is, which stands for minimum viable product. What is the definition of minimum viable product? Who knows the definition of that? Show of hands, please. You. So, who wants to ask a question? Somebody down here. Yo. So could you tell us what minimum viable product is, please?
It's a product that meets, I guess, the minimum features that your customers need to buy it, with like the absolute minimum like work involved to create it.
Right. So I'm a math major. My undergrad degree, albeit was in engineering, was in math. So this is called the necessary and sufficient condition. We have a sufficient number of features and no more than necessary in order to solve the customer's needs. So that's this one right here. And that's this line down here, because in the beginning, when you get a bunch of money from investors, generally speaking, almost all of that money goes to research and development, product development. So you want to spend as little money as possible in order to in order to get into the market. Because over here, what you're trying to do is figure out the value proposition precisely in order to get the likelihood of closing the deal most in your favor. And it's these two lines right here, spend money, close deal, spend money, close deal, that you're wrestling with all the time. That's the fundamental business need that you are facing as you go into that early adopter market, okay? So spend as little as possible by understanding really clearly what the customer over here wants. So benefits are linked to features. For every benefit you get, there's a feature over there. So if you got features that don't attach to benefits, you wasted money. Okay, is that clear? This is a really important slide. Okay, next one, summary statement. So who cares about this positioning statement, this chart that we wrote? Well, I think these are 5 constituents that do a whole lot. I'll let you read it, except I'm going to talk about the last one down here in this slide and also the next one down here. One of the things that an entrepreneur needs is some confidence that they're making good decisions. And when you go through a process like what you've been through tonight and what I'm going to suggest you go through, is you actually develop confidence because you've marketed the thing, you've talked to a lot of people, you got some input, you've tested this, you've done that, and you've actually spent a little bit of time thinking hard about what the best choice is. And by making the best choice, then you've got confidence that you've done the right thing, as it says down here, the right things the right way, and you've got confidence that you've got the best done that you can. It may still fail, but nonetheless, you took your best swing at it. And that's really, really important to an entrepreneur. Okay? And the last one is summary slide. Again, I'll let you read this thing right here, except for the 2 bottom ones. You now have a 17-second pitch, because if I go back to, I keep on doing this, Angie. Yep. Okay, so let's just go back here. Bear with me a sec. Right here. This one right here. So it's a little hard to read maybe, but nonetheless, if you just read this, is this a pretty good statement of what FitBrains does? Have you got a pretty good idea as to what FitBrains does? And the one before, Neoteric, if you read this thing right here, do you understand what Neoteric does? Yeah, I think so, pretty well. This is what you need. This is the results that you need, which is the big reason why I wanted Angie to send these slide decks out, so you've got a sample of what good looks like. Okay, you need to get your statements to look like this. How long will it take you to read this thing out or present it properly? Probably less than 30 seconds. That's what you need to do. You need to, if I'm Bloomberg looking at you, Michelle, and I'm going, Michelle, tell me what you do. You got 17 seconds, Michelle, wheel it out. All that wordsmithing stuff or that words that you put together are too big. It doesn't fit. So you need to get it to something looking like this. This is your goal. Okay? All right. Let's just keep on going. So that's the 17-second one right here. The last one, again, I get back to confidence. Confidence is a really important but little appreciated reality in the world of an entrepreneur because it's fraught with uncertainty and you've probably never done it before and you're not sure whether it's right or not. So this is a really good way to start the process of building and getting some confidence. Okay? So we're now done with the template. So my ask of you tonight is finish it off and then go get out of the building. Steve Blank's favorite phrase, get out of the building. I got asked this last year. It said, where does the Steve Blank thing fit in? I said at 9:15, I'd like you in the pub. talking to somebody about the piece of paper you just generated and asking their input. Is this right, wrong, edits, whatever the case may be. Okay, go through that. I will tell you my experience, and I've done probably 500 of these things. I've done a lot. And it typically takes a couple of months in order to get it to the right state that you're comfortable with, that you've got the best you possibly can be. It's not a one-time event. It takes a while. Needs some exposure, feedback, and iterations. Okay? Okay, part 2 tonight. So this is going to take about 20 minutes. So our questions tonight are the following. We're now into the, is this thing worthwhile from your point of view? You're going to spend 5-10 years of your life. Is it worthwhile? So the question, and who here knows a fellow named Mike Volker? What If Fund? Okay, if you don't, you should. Because he's probably one of the best guys to go talk to for money around Vancouver, because he's targeting businesses like you. He has roughly 55, I think it is, in the What If portfolio. I'm an investor in the portfolio. I think Mike's done a splendid job helping out startups like you. Okay, so Mike's big focus is how big can this opportunity become? If it's only $1 a year in revenue, that's not really a good use of time. But if it's 10 million, now you got my attention. How much of this opportunity do you think you can win? And you're going to spend 5 to 10 years of your life. Is the results in line 1 and 2 big enough to justify an ROI for you in terms of your investment of 5 to 10 years? Pretty good question. Okay, this is what the market looks like. The total market divides into 2 parts, addressable and non-addressable. Why would there be 2 parts? What gets dropped when it's not addressable? What part of the market can we not get at? So that's a question. Please sing out, and Angie will run around with a mic. What parts of markets get dropped when we try and get to addressable market? Addressable market is market we can get at right away, and we wish to get at. So what do we lose? Okay. Do we want to sell to Antarctica? Geography. Okay. So generally speaking, the geography constraint applies. Not always. PHY. What else? Are you prepared to put your product in Russian? Yes, sir?
I guess the other thing is there may be other solutions, because to any problem, there are multiple ways to solve the problem. So maybe there are other ways that problem can be solved that your product doesn't address.
Okay, so I'm going to put down competition, and I like what you said, which is, other methods, if you wish, of solving. And the other dimension of competition is entrenched. So sometimes there's reality in terms of a competitor being there, and you're not going to pry them loose. They're there because they're doing a great job, and it's just out of bounds. Okay, so we got 3 so far: geography, language, competition. Anything else? Technology. Yep. Dale, do you have an example in mind of that, Dale?
Well, if you're trying to sell a cell phone solution to people that don't have cell phones, you got a problem.
Right. Yep. That's fair. Anything else? So I'll tell you a story. We'll get back to class. So, wanted to grow class. A couple of ways you grow class. One is you kind of elbow into other markets. So we went to the YMCAs and schools and stuff like that. That was okay. And we were doing really well in North America. North America is a pretty homogeneous market. One rec department looks like another. However, when we decided to expand, we ended up going to New Zealand. Population 3.6 million. Really, really petite. We ran out of opportunity in New Zealand within a year. So we then started looking across where else to go. Australia is pretty nearby. They got a population of 21 million. Looked like a pretty good fit. However, the business model over there and the way they ran the rec departments over there was totally different than North America. So we walked in there thinking we were going to be Attila the Hun, and in fact we got creamed. And the story is I had a rep down there. He sold probably 15 or 20 systems right out of the gate, and it was fraud. It was misrepresentation of the first order. And I spent a couple of months down there going by each one of the customers and telling them I'll buy it back if they weren't happy. And I wrote a lot of checks. Yeah. So the issue is, in my opinion, culture, the other one down here. So generally speaking, software programs are built on a certain culture. And in fact, is it a fit? So I'm going to suggest there is a difference between, say, China and North America in terms of search and that kind of thing as an example of culture mismatch. Okay? So that leads us back to the question again is, you need to understand that you cannot be the be-all to end-all, and you end up finding out what your addressable market is right there. And then what our question right now is, what do you think you can do in years 1, 2, and 3? Now, the good news is revenue is a really easy equation. And revenue is the multiplication of units or transactions times price per unit. That's it. Okay? Now, typically you get this right, or reasonably right. Maybe not in the beginning because there's heavy discounting happening, sometimes free. Okay, so revenue is a little light in the beginning. Where the mistake is made is right here. And the reason is you overestimate the speed at which you can get into the market and the size of how you can get into the market as well. Okay? So here's the last chart for you to work on tonight. And that is, I want you to fill this chart out right here. I'll get back to it in just a second. So I'm interested in what you think your addressable market is. Total market size, units and price, total revenue. That's if everybody buys at your price. And then what do you think you can do in the first couple of years? First 3 years. Same questions and the numbers right over here. Okay? And then what you do, my favorite strategy or method of examining whether it's a good decision or not, is a glass of red wine in one hand and my computer screen in the other. And I look at this thing and I go, should I or should I not? Okay? And I have done this, believe me. Okay? So here's what we want you to do in the way of a to-do right now. So this is the last one for the evening. And we'll give you 10 minutes and then we'll ask some questions and then we'll wrap it up. So is everybody clear what the ask is? I would like you to fill out this chart right here. Now I can flip back and forth in terms of each one of these, but you've got the slides, I hope. Michelle, do you have a question?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Is 3 years the normal rate? Because I was told to do 5 years. Oh, I'm sorry. When you're working on your year 1, 2, and 3 revenue, I was told to do up to 5 years.
Okay, 5 is good. Generally speaking, there's not enough time in this seminar to do it to 5. So why I like 3...
Up to 5.
Pardon me?
I've already done 5.
Good, okay. Why I like 3, Michelle, is it gives you an idea as to how much money you're going to need to acquire from investors as well, because this is the offset. Like hopefully in year 4 and 5, you're starting to get some material revenue.
5 years is 25 million.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but in year 1, 2, and 3, it's probably considerably lower than that, and that generally tells you how much money you're going to need as an investor to get invested.
Yeah, I've done all that.
Yeah. Okay. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. There we go.
I just targeted the skier market for now.
Okay.
So there's like 20 million skiers in North America.
Yep.
But I just thought that I'm going to focus on Vancouver.
Yep.
First year.
Yep.
There's like 50,000 skiers in Vancouver.
Yep.
And based on the market research, I think the people between 13 years old to 25 will be more interested in
Yeah.
a rig like that.
The real hot dogs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, versus old guys like me, for instance.
Yeah, then but really we didn't get good feedback from older.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I didn't want to put you on the spot. Well, you get the idea.
So I was thinking that's like 40% of skiers. 40% of the.
Is it out of the 50? 40% of 50,000?
40% of 50,000 are between 13 years old to 25 years old.
Okay, so 20,000 target market?
20,000.
Okay, 20,000.
And let's say, so in terms of price, when I talked to this people in this age, I got like they would pay something around 120 to 150 for the rink. And let's say out of every 5 people, just 1 is actually going to buy it. So That makes it like 4,000 purchase. First year.
First year?
First year.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that's just
At what price?
very optimistic.
At what price?
At 100.
$100.
$100.
99 actually, because you want to get
99.
99 is not 100 is not a good number. Okay, so you're doing pretty well in the first year, right? What's that? 40,000? Sorry, 400,000 bucks? Yeah, right? Yeah, 400,000 400K. Okay, all right. That's year one. So we're now down to 16,000 left. Now you may get some in Seattle, Mount Rainier, and stuff like that, or Mount Baker and stuff like that. But let's just stick with Vancouver.
Provided that we don't get any online traffic on the website. It's just advertising in ski stores.
And references and all that stuff. You know, some
equipment.
trade press and so on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what happens next year?
Next year, hopefully, it'll go North America.
Oh, okay. So million?
So, yeah, and then we'll start.
Million?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 million? Okay, good. All right. And what are we selling it for? How much?
So again, the same price.
$100 bucks?
$100.
Still new.
Yeah. Still
Okay.
the same price.
Okay. Wow. 100 million. That's 100 million. Okay. And year three?
The year three, hopefully we can get into other markets.
Oh, so we're going to Europe and...
Yeah, I was thinking maybe other application. For example, you have a problem with presentation here. I was thinking the second market to use it as some sort of a mouse.
Me, right?
So
Yeah.
Go to the next slide. Go
Guy
to
like
the
good old Ralph. We'll fix good old Ralph's problem.
Draw on the slides and whatever.
Okay.
Like so.
All right. So we're going, I don't know, 100 million down here? Okay. Now, I'm obviously...
Let's be realistic.
I'm having a good time, right, with you right now, and I don't want to tease you or anything like that. But this, frankly, is typical of what happened. So here's Ralph's bet. So the first year is going to be, this is going to be 0, and this is going to be, I don't know, I'll pick a number, probably 250, something like that. This is called marketing dollars. So you're now getting the early adopter users out there because you want referenceability. You want hot dogs running around the mountain wearing this stuff and getting on YouTube and all that stuff. So this is what the real world's going to look like, in my opinion. So we'll get down to probably 1,000, and you're going to end up selling them for, say, $50. So you got 50K revenue the second year. And I think you may get to your 4,000 the third year, depending on how this thing goes right here. But you get the idea, times 100. Okay, because you'll be able to get the price up. So let's get you to the 400K at this point in time. But again, this is the magic number right here. Assume 0 in the beginning. You need to buy market share. I got asked here last year, which is more important, customers or profit?
Customers, yeah.
And the reason is my Peter Drucker slide, right? Everything I said in the beginning is where it comes into roost. You need these 250 to use it to get these ones, to get these ones, right? That's how it works. So that's what you need to do. You want the equity dollars. Investors put money in, like me, understanding that this is a reality, and it's called ship equity dollars with every product sale in the beginning. That's what we're all about. So we understand that. Okay? Does this make sense? Okay, so thank you very much. It was a great example, and I do appreciate it, really. Yep. Okay, so 2 slides left to go, and then we'll call it a soiree. Okay, so the last one is you as an entrepreneur. So there's 2 slides here. First one is about me and why I became an entrepreneur. Second is the lens that I use to look at other people in terms of whether I would be comfortable investing with them. I learned the hard way in the beginning that it's not a product business per se. If somebody comes to me and says, I got the greatest rocket ship heading for Mars, and this thing is going to turn the world around, I am at a point right now where I don't even bother with that kind of stuff. I worry more about the people driving the show. So it actually goes to Bloomberg's, one of them in Bloomberg, I think it was number 1 or 2, which is who are you and why should I bet on you? And it's probably right now, in my view, probably 75-25 tilted that way. So I bet on people. Okay? And that's me. Not necessarily everybody, but that's me. Okay? So here's me. And I'll just let you read this, but this is what my motivation was, and I'll hit the highlights. The first motivation was I wanted control of my destiny. So I went in after university in Queens. I went into the Air Force. The Air Force was a great experience from a technical point of view, from a opportunity point of view, people-wise, really bad. Air Force has an officer's mess. I was an officer. Free booze every night, especially on Friday. And frankly, the people that stayed were liking that kind of situation, which wasn't for me. So we used to call them career manglers. So in downtown Ottawa, I was in Ottawa, in downtown Ottawa headquarters, there was somebody telling you what your career was going to look like as you did one of these. I did not really like that at all. So I got out of the Air Force, went back to UBC, master's degree in EE and an MBA, and then went to work for an organization over in Bentall 3 over here. And just about the same thing happened again. And I'm going, boy, I don't like this movie, and I want to change. Just got married, opportunity came up to set up my own business, and away I went. And the first line up there says control of destiny, and that's exactly why I did it, right there. I thought, frankly, and this is just being really straightforward, I would be the best boss I could ever work for. Okay? That's me. So the rest of the stuff, I like hard, I like risk-taking, and in my opinion, I built an unfair advantage down here because I had a really good technology background, and in those days, that was really important in the tech industry because I could argue with consultants and go toe-to-toe, and secondly, the MBA actually was a pretty good degree to understand what business is like. I would offer one suggestion, and I get into arguments with deans of business schools here. They need to teach sales in business schools. They do not teach Sales 101 in business school at all. I cannot believe it. Those guys from Schnarp, who the hockey app, have never taken a sales training class, and that's probably their biggest deficiency right now. They don't get it. And it's just a shame. Anyway, so that's me. So what's my lens right now in terms of looking at somebody like you? I look for number one, passion. You need to really love what you're about. And what you want to do, to the point where you feels like you would crawl through broken glass in order to get to the goal line. Adaptability. What I like is somebody that will listen and that I can talk to or feel I can talk to, and we have a conversation and we make a good decision, but it's balanced conversation. So this person will say, yeah, you're probably right at this point in time, and I will change direction, also known as pivoting. Judgment, again, similar kind of thing, which is can they actually stay focused with all the crap going on? There's a management phrase called shiny object syndrome. Does anybody know what that is? Okay. Pardon me?
So the magpie.
Sorry?
A magpie you're attracted to.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is the next thing in the door, because you're going to get opportunity a day. Somebody in a different target market, line one, shows up and goes, I'll really buy your stuff if you make these 10 feature changes. That's exactly what happens. And then you're off and running, thinking there's a gold and then there are hills, and it generally turns out to be false. So you need to separate out the facts from the noise. Experience. This is from Mike Volker, and this is a bit of a downer from your point of view. Mike Volker has this 10,000 hours rule. And 10,000 hours represents 5 years' worth of business experience because generally 2,000 hours a year is the working year. And he thinks that business experience really is not recognized in an entrepreneur. So somebody coming right out of school and wanting to go into business not only has to learn how to do the technology and develop all of that, but they also got to learn how to run businesses. And I think I agree with him. Okay? And lastly is get results. So the people that impress me are the ones that seem to turn around stuff way quicker than what I thought would be possible, considering everything else that was going on. So this is kind of a lens that I use, and I go pile A or pile B based on looking at this lens, looking at people like yourself through this lens. So without further ado, this is the summary. Again, what we're trying to do tonight is always think about the customer and always think that you're in the hurt and rescue business. Find clear need, pain, and make sure you deliver it with your differentiator. So get that chart filled out right. Is the opportunity worthwhile pursuing? Decide if you want to spend 10 years doing this, 5 to 10 years of your life. And I will personally tell you, I have zero regrets, not just the other way of looking at it, glass half empty. Glass half full, I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat. I made some bad decisions along the way, but it's part of the process. But nonetheless, it was just a great ride, and yeah, just fabulous. I can't speak enough about it, frankly. So with that, I wish you all the best.